This lead singer formed his band in 1971 after being part of the band The Candymen, who backed up the legend Roy Orbison. He recorded the band's first self-titled album, then left the band a year later in 1972. They went on to chart the hits So Into You, Imaginary Lover, and Spooky. He toured with Roy Buchanan and B.J. Thomas and is now back with his original band, lead singer of the Atlanta Rhythm section, Rodney Justo. Hi, Rodney.
Hello, how are you, Kiki?
Good.
By
how are
the way,
you?
You're one of the few people that's ever gotten it right.
Come on.
No, seriously.
Well, we're going to hear more about it. I mean, literally, though, Rodney, what I just said, literally, is just a little teeny tiny sliver and slice of what you have done over the years. And you're still out there 50 years later. How did this crazy music journey start for you? You sang on the radio as a child, as I recall.
What the heck have you been doing, baby? Yes, I did.
So tell us about that.
It's embarrassing to say that now. You know,
Come
I
on.
told my kids one time that when I was a kid, they didn't have television. They said, "What did you watch?" I had to tell them we used to literally watch the radio.
Right.
But yes, I did sing as a kid on the radio, and then somehow or another, you know, it just I don't know what the heck happened. I stopped singing, and I decided I wanted to be a drummer, and I did for a while, but I was trying to ace this other guy out of a gig. And I replaced him one night for a gig he couldn't make. And then my friend was playing bass in that same band. And I went back for their rehearsal, and I saw the other drummer play. And I went, uh-oh, I'm never going to be as good as this guy. And I actually sang at their rehearsal because the singer didn't show up. And that's how I started singing.
Really?
Again, I guess. Yeah.
So when was that about? Was that high school, college?
1959, 1960.
So was this the time that you were in the Mystics?
Yeah.
Okay, you were clean cut. You were like pre-Beatles. Then Roy Orbison, he pops up into your life. I mean, Roy Orbison.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about that? How did that happen?
Well, you know, it's funny. Roy showed up. You got to remember, it was a different world back then because bands didn't have hit records. People had hit records, you know, single artists.
Right.
So they would come to a town, and I live in Tampa, incidentally, and they would come to a town, and they would have whatever local band was there back them up. Now, none of them traveled with a band. Maybe they would have a guitar player or a drummer. But basically, we learned their song before they came in, and we backed them up. And they all did the same song. You know, they did their hits, one or two hits that they had. And then they all did the same song. It was What Did I Say, or Let's Do the Twist, or whatever the heck it was, or a Bo Diddley song, or a Chuck Berry song. And that was essentially it. So I met Roy, and we kind of took a liking to each other. He liked my singing. Then one day, Roy showed up with his own band. So he was the first person. He and Bobby V were about the only two that traveled with their own band. And I became friends with all the guys in the band. And when Bobby Goldsboro left, because he had a hit record, I essentially took Bobby's place.
Wow. You took Bobby Goldsboro's place.
I'm a kid. I'm 20 years old. I'm at 20 years old traveling all over the world, so...
Well, and I mean, Roy had already been with Sun Records at that point, sang with Patsy Cline. I mean, Elvis. How blown away were you that he looked at you and said, you know what, there's a talent there. I want this guy in my band.
I don't think it really sunk in. I just saw it so much as an opportunity. I knew that I had to, if I wanted to accomplish anything, that I would have to leave Tampa in some way. So Roy gave me that opportunity. But Kiki, you know, previous to that, Roy produced a record with me as a single artist.
Oh.
And that was pretty flattering. In fact,
nice.
I'll try to be brief because I don't want to bore your listeners to death.
Not at all.
It was on, let me think. It was February the 8th, 1964.
Okay.
And I worked as a single artist on a show with Roy and Bobby Goldsboro and the New Beats in Dothan, Alabama. The day after that, I went to Nashville to record my first record.
Whoa.
Which was February 9th, which was the day the Beatles came out.
Oh, my.
February the 10th,
gosh.
Ray Stevens took me to a Jerry Lee Lewis session. I'd never been to a recording session. Didn't know anything what the heck was going on. The next day, I'm getting ready to make my own record, which Roy was producing. And I must tell you, after hearing the Beatles on television, I knew I was doomed.
Come on.
My record was nothing like what was happening. In fact, I started singing it was a great experience, don't misunderstand me.
Sure.
But the arranger, who was the erstwhile really producer, was a guy named Bill Justice, who'd had a hit record called Raunchy. He was a really nice guy. And I showed up and I started singing. He says, all right, here we go. Now, if you start singing on pitch, you'll be the first one. A little dust cap is going to fall on you. In fact, Brenda Lee was here the other day, and a dust cap fell on her. So, so it was pretty iconoclastic. He was a real character. So I start singing. He says, he's singing a little too black. He said, I want you to sing a little bit more like Bobby Rydell.
Oh, my gosh.
So now I'm whitening it up, but believe me, I know this record's got no chance. But like I said, I'm not ungrateful. I was happy. It was, you do it. Now that I think of it, I'm pretty much the same way today. When it comes up to play a concert, they pay me, I do what they want.
Well, I mean, so did that record do anything?
No, heck no. It did. It wasn't released. A few copies escaped.
All right, let me ask you this, though. Do you think maybe it didn't do anything because you had this in your head that, you know what, I'm not as good as the Beatles. I'm not as good as so-and-so. Do you think maybe you put that there?
Hell no. I was so arrogant, Kiki.
All righty then.
I wish I had that back, to be honest with you. I heard some old songs I recorded as a kid. Not when I say recorded, I mean the guys in the band recorded it in a garage or something at a rehearsal. And I said, oh, my God, I sound so confident. You could hear my arrogance in the singing. I wish I had it back,
Oh, come on. You have to perform. You have to have some type of...
I was on the stage with Roy every night for so many nights.
Right.
And he was great. But I don't know. I never felt like I wasn't a part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
I didn't feel inferior. I'll put it to you that way.
Well, you've had a lot of nice things to say about Roy. It sounds like he was a true ham, big time. He loved to tell jokes. So
he had a wonderful sense of humor.
What is your...
If you could ever hear him laugh, you would laugh.
So you can still hear it, right?
He cackled. Okay, I mean, he had a beautiful, beautiful, generous laugh, and you do stuff to him, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
What is your strongest and best memory of Roy?
That's such a good question. I talked with him after his wife died, and I was in Nashville, and after his children died as well. And we were sitting in Nashville. Roy had a very unique way of speaking. He's very soft-spoken from Texas. And, my name's Rodney Justo. He calls me Rodno Justy. He says, Rodno, ain't but two things ever really hurt me in my life. Three things ever really hurt me in my life. Claudette dying, my poor boys dying in that fire, and the Candyman leaving me. I went, Roy, not for nothing. I don't think we belong in that kind of company.
Wow.
So, like I said, that's the first thing that came to my mind. But I can tell you that he was the type of guy, and I've seen it. You walk up to Roy and you say, man, I like those cufflinks. He'll take them off and give them to you.
Wow. Wow. See, these are things you just don't know about an icon like Roy Orbison, but you were there. You experienced this. This is history.
I wish everybody could have known what it's... Well, let me tell you this. I'll tell you, this is not the first time I told a story. I wish I would have answered this first, to be honest with you. But it gives me a chance to name drop, too.
There you go.
Well, like I said, I left my band, the Mystics, to go work with Roy. And like I said, my band backed up every artist that came into town. And we happened to be working with the Four Seasons. And after the show, I go into a diner where everybody used to go at night. It was Frankie Valli. Now, Frankie, two things happen. First of all, he orders a cheese omelet. And he sits down and he says, "This is the best cheese omelet I've had since I left New Jersey." Now, I didn't know what the heck a cheese omelet was. But I thought it was so cool that we had something that was as good as New Jersey, right?
Right.
So I tell him, "Well, Frankie, this is my last night with my band. I'm going on the road with Roy Orbison." He says, "Rodney," he says, "you're going to work for the nicest guy in show business."
Wow.
Oh, really? I mean, I knew him, but I didn't know he had that kind of reputation. I just knew he was a nice guy. I never forgot him saying I was going to work for the nicest guy in show business. So when Roy dies, I pick up Rolling Stone magazine, and the first paragraph says something like, "Roy Orbison was the sweetest guy in rock and roll."
Oh.
And I thought to myself, holy smoke, after all these years, this guy kept that same reputation.
Right.
So that shows you he really was a sweet guy. It wasn't just, some big fake thing that he put on.
Right. It wasn't an act.
No, he was a real sweetheart.
And that's
He
really,
was great.
and it's so cool that just such a huge piece of history that you got to be you were a part of that.
Looking back, it's like anything with Kiki. Sometimes in your life you don't realize what the heck is going on. When you look back, you sort of get the import of the whole thing,
Right.
And I've been very, very fortunate. I mean, there was a time where, we worked with virtually anybody who was anybody in the business.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a great life. I'm not done yet, by the way.
So then you go into and form the Atlanta Rhythm section, and I thought it was kind of funny how your genre is known as Southern rock, yet I don't really compare Atlanta Rhythm section to the sound of Leonard Skinner. It doesn't flow for me that way. Did you see you guys as a Southern rock band?
Well, I don't. You got to remember that when we started in 1970, there was no Southern rock bands.
Mm-hmm.
The closest was the Allman Brothers.
Right.
And in my opinion, they're not a Southern rock band. To me, they're a blues band.
Mm-hmm.
To me, a Southern rock band is Marshall Tucker, the Outlaws, Leonard Skinner. I don't really think we fit in with those. We had some Southern rock songs. Now, I must tell you, I think we thought we were going to be a rock and roll band. And we really are, essentially. But our hits became more classic rock hits. I like it when we play, say, just an hour show somewhere, and we play with another Southern rock group, and we play the hits naturally. But we do some more deep cuts, that are more rock and roll-ish.
Right.
So to answer your question, even though we're getting ready to play the Southern rock and roll cruise again in January,
right.
I don't really think we fit in that milieu. I've always wanted to use that word, by the way.
Well, and it's funny because now I see that you've done a lot of shows with Firefall and Poco, and that is your sound. Mm-hmm. That really is how ARS sounds to me, anyway.
I agree, and we have the same audience. But listen, my goal. You had 13 albums. My goal when I came back with a band was to be able to have a different show for every kind of audience. We play corporate gigs. We don't do large time and boogie schmoogie when we play corporate gigs. If we play Leonard Skinner show, we don't go do it or die.
Right.
We mix our shows up for the audience.
So now you're in the Atlanta Rhythm section. You form this wonderful band, and it's a year, and then you leave. So tell me what happened there.
Well, first of all, we had a guy named Buddy Bowie. No Buddy Bowie, no Atlanta Rhythm section. Buddy Bowie was our main songwriter. He was our producer. He was our manager. And I'm spending 2 years waiting for this first album to come out. And we weren't really making any money, is the bottom line. Mm-hmm. And it came to a point where we were out in California on an aborted Deep Purple tour. And Buddy was out there with us, and he says, "Hey, I just signed a great deal today." I'm thinking, oh, finally we're going to start working on the road. This is going to be great. He said, "I just signed a deal with Hanna-Barbera to do cartoon tracks." I'm like, what? He says, "Yeah, they're going to have a new cartoon show called Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids." I'm thinking, let me see. Now, what's in it for little Rodney here? And he said, well, you'll be singing background. I said, dude, I don't want to sing background. I'll go somewhere I can make some money singing background. So I moved to New York City. Now, at that same time, like I said, I didn't particularly want to go, even though I loved New York. I had a daughter that had I was a typical musician, no insurance. So when you have a daughter that needs operations, you got to get money from somewhere.
Right.
So I left, and the band had the audacity to start having hit records once I left.
Well, yeah, because
Selfish.
we got Spooky, So Into You, Imaginary Lover, Ronnie Hammond. He just, he made those songs what they were. And so were there
Ronnie was a perfect voice for Buddy's songs. Here's what people don't know, is that if you wanted to sing for Buddy Bowie on his songs, he wants you to sing like he wishes he could sing. It's hard to explain to somebody, but if you ever hear Buddy Bowie singing songs, oh my gosh, that sounds like Ronnie, or it sounds like me, but not quite as good.
No, I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. Absolutely. But
right.
Do you look back and go, why didn't I stay? Why didn't I stick it out?
No, I moved to New York, had a great life. In the first place, I'm not the guy that looks back. You change one thing, you change everything,
Right.
But I went to New York, and I had a successful career. I mean, I did great things. I sang on other people's records. I toured, with other musicians. I lived in New York City. So, but I've always stayed friends with the guys. I recommended Ron.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
So how did you know Ronnie?
Well, Ronnie was like, he just hung around the studio.
Okay.
He was like, he wasn't even an assistant engineer, but he hung around, And he was a nice guy. We all liked him. He was very close friends with Rodney Mills, who was our engineer. So I was very happy with that when they had hit records. I mean, let's face it. Like I said, they're all pals. I mean, Dean and I go back to the Candyman days. Robert Nix and I to the Candyman days. So how are you going to root against somebody? I was ecstatic that they did well. There was never a time they came anywhere near where I was where I didn't go see him.
Right. But so Ronnie wasn't a singer. He wasn't intentionally placed as a lead singer.
Well, he was a singer. He sang in a band around Macon, Georgia.
Okay.
But he was an aspiring singer / songwriter. But what he was doing to make some income was little engineering work.
Wow. And he got into...
That's the way I recall it.
So it's kind of like a Cinderella story for him. Really, it was. Well, God rest his soul, but it was...
Listen, he would say from the stage many times, if I go by to see him, he'd give me a shout out. He'd say, "Thanks for Rodney Justo in the audience. Thank Rodney Justo. He left, to take care of his family. He gave me a chance."
Nice.
So he could be a very humble guy. I love Ronnie. He was a great guy.
Yeah. So you left ARS and you went to New York. Tell us how you filled all those years. I mean, you said that you still worked with musicians. You were involved in music somewhat. What type of jobs did you do after the music ended for you?
Kiki, I got a job. I'd never had a job before. And I heard about an opening at this place with a liquor distributor. So I went and applied, and I got a job. I had the worst job in the company. I made $150 a week, and all I did was dust bottles in grocery stores. But I was, determined not to let anyone outwork me.
Mm-hmm.
And I work like a damn animal, man. And, an opportunity comes up, then another opportunity comes up, you do a good job, and you keep moving up. So for 29 years, I ended up being a sales manager at a liquor distributor called Southern Wine and Spirits. And then I retired. Ronnie died. And the band had become, I hate to say a tribute band because it sounds so disparaging, but the only one left was Dean. And how many people show up to watch a keyboard player in a band, right?
It does happen,
So I got a call from, once again, Buddy Bowie, who talks to me about coming back. And at the same time, Dean had reached out to Paul Goddard, our bass player, to talk him into coming back. So the three of us came back. Half the band was original. We're having a good time. And then, Paul passed away.
Sorry.
So now it's down to just the two of us. But, every band has been around for almost 50 years like this one.
Right.
When you think you're going to see the original guys, we get a certain crap. And I hear a lot of this. Hey, the tribute band, I don't care who it is, if it's Foreigner, if it's Little River Band, whatever.
Right.
I ask them if they're sports fans. They go, oh, yeah, who do you like? Oh, I love the Yankees. Hey, me too. But you know what? I went to see them the other day. I didn't see Roger Maris. I didn't see Mickey Mantle. No Babe Ruth. No Lou Gehrig. They're a tribute baseball team,
Touche, Rodney. Touche.
You evolve. Everything evolves,
So think about, okay, so you've been out, you said about 28 years out of music. Think about that first rehearsal that you had. What was it? Was it overwhelming? Were you thrilled? Were you scared? How did that go?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. The guy who'd been singing for the band is a wonderful guy named Andy Anderson. He had to have bypass surgery. So now I haven't sung a note. When I say a note, nothing. Not the shower, not the car. Nothing.
Come on. Not even in the shower?
No, nothing.
Oh.
When I walked, I walked. And the called and asked me to fill in. See, we got these dates booked. Can you help us? I said, no, I can't do it. I don't sing anymore, guys. I told you when I left that was going to be the end of it. Please, you got to help us. So Dean talks me into it. So we're playing a place called the Mohegan Sun.
Oh, yeah,
not
nice.
far from you.
Nice.
Right? So I agreed to do it. Now, here I am. I got to learn 12, 13, 15 songs overnight.
Is that how much time you had literally? Was it an overnight thing? You had to learn them right away?
2 days.
Oh, my God.
2 days I had to learn all these songs. So I agreed to do it. And why did I say I was going to do this? Oh, this is idiotic. And they did a song. We very seldom do it, called the Ballad of Lois Malone, which I'd never sung and didn't even know. I said, no problem. I'll write the words down. I'll put the words on the floor, and I'll just kind of look at them and cheat a little bit. Well, two things happened. First of all, I couldn't say Lois Malone. I kept saying Moses Malone, the basketball player. Okay, that was one. The second one was I couldn't see the words, and I had in my glasses on. All right, so
yeah, that happens over time.
It's okay. Now we did a sound check. I'll be honest with you. When we did a sound check, I'm looking out at this place. I'm going, oh, Rodney, you've gone too far this time. You're going to look so stupid in front of all these people. So we did a sound check. We started singing back up against the wall. After I sang 12 bars, it was like I sung yesterday. Nice. I'm not saying I was as good. I'm just saying I didn't feel like, my hands in my pockets and didn't know what to do.
Right.
I felt reasonably comfortable singing over that. So I was surprised, and I ended up filling in about 5 or 6 dates, and he came back, and I'm out of the picture again. Until, like I said, Buddy Bowie called me and got me to come back again.
So the thrill of the crowd, is it the same that it was 50 years ago?
Yes and no. The crowds aren't as big as they used to be. But, Kiki, I have been back over 7 years already. I don't think I've ever played a date where someone doesn't come up to me and say, hey, man, you guys sound great. I just relived my entire college experience tonight.
How cool is that for you?
That's very rewarding. And by the way, if the band wasn't great, I wouldn't be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, absolutely.
I'm lucky. I don't need the money. I do it because I want to have a good time. I'm the opposite of most people. You put me on a plane going somewhere, I'm the happiest.
Well, and I
my
have
favorite part of the gig. Sorry?
No, it's okay. I've read that it seems like everything I've read about you, you're very, very grateful for what you've had over this career, over this crazy career for you. It seems like you're just grateful for it.
It's true. You can ask the guys in the band. I think probably my favorite part of the gig is after the gig. You know, we sign CDs and T-shirts and things like that. We get to meet people, we talk with them, we kid around with them, and you find out about their kids and their families and what they're doing. No, that's a great opportunity to interact with people.
Oh, sure. And how about?
No, I enjoy it.
How about these cruises? You're liking these cruises, right?
Love them.
What's the best part of doing the cruises?
It's the best of both worlds because I'm a participant and I'm a fan.
Oh, right.
We play and people come up, and it's great. And then when we're through, we go listen to other bands. Some of them we know, some of them we don't know. We get a chance to meet them, spend a few minutes. I got to think everybody's a fan. I mean, Bono's got to be a fan of somebody. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Paul McCartney, if Gene Vincent was to show up, Paul would get apoplectic.
So when you've played with all of these other fabulous bands, like I said, Firefall and Poco, I mean, has there been a band recently within the last several years that you've come in contact with, or they've played on one of the cruises and you've looked and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm playing alongside of these guys?
No.
No.
We did some Skinner. We did quite a few of these Leonard Skinner farewell dates.
Oh, you did?
And they're a great act. And I got to tell you, Johnny Van Zandt is a real sweetheart. I don't know him from a sack of salt, but he's made his way to come thank us for playing, told us how much he enjoys the band.
Nice.
And that's been really nice.
Very, very nice.
It's been a lot of fun. So to see a band like that, you want to talk about a band that's evolved, who better than them?
Absolutely.
Incidentally, I've got to think that they're at least as big of an act as they've ever been.
I would have to agree with you there. Yeah.
They're a big act. People don't realize how big they are. And they're a good act too. And they show up. They got 4 semis and 2 buses and God knows what else. I mean, I can't imagine what their production costs are. We operate very frugally.
Well, Rodney, looking back musically, what do you feel has been your biggest accomplishment music-wise?
I got voted most talented in high school. That was a big deal to me.
Hey, that's great.
I'm not just saying that tongue in cheek. I'm talking in terms of what it meant at the time. I was just so flat. They announced it at the senior prom. Most talented. Rodney Justo. Oh my God, man! Look at this. It's just so cool.
And then there it all began for you.
I have had great things. We worked with the Candyman, with the Rascals at the place called the Singer Bowl, it was 17,000 people there, which was gigantic at that time.
Right.
And it's been great. We worked with the Small Faces in England for about 6 or 7 weeks, and they may be the most fun act I've ever seen.
Nice.
Yeah, they were wonderful.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Rodney, this Saturday night at the Mesquamaket Fall Fest, the Atlanta Rhythm Section, Rodney, you're going to be there singing the biggest hits that you've had, as well as some other songs too. 8 o'clock. You can get your tickets at eventbrite.com. Rodney, thank you so much for sharing your music history with us. We really, really appreciate it. And you go and rock that Fall Fest.
Thank you very, very much, Kiki. Very good interview. You asked some relevant, interesting questions. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
You tested me. That's good. It's good.
Well, got to test you.
Nothing wrong with that, baby.